conversion, that's the number of times your investment accumulate interest in 1 year. So when the investment is made, that it is computed compounded semi-annually, which means in 1 year, the investment generates interest twice kasi semi-annually. Kapag ang investment is made compounded quarterly, meaning every 3 months, the investment generates interest. So in 1 year, there will be four generated interest. The nominal rate, that's the annual rate of interest. The rate, that's the interest of each conversion period, and the total number of conversion periods. Now, to have an overview of what will happen to your loan or to your investment, we have here compounded annually. So meaning to say in 1 year, the interest generates isang beses lang. 2% compounded semi-annually, it does not necessarily mean that every 6 months, the interest generated 2%. Okay? That 2% will be divided into 2. Hindi ibig sabihin na every 6 months, 2% ang interest doon sa iyong loan or investment. Kundi, yung 2%, hahatiin natin siya sa dalawa. Kasi pag sinabing semi-annually, that is every 6 months. 2% compounded quarterly. So that means every 3 months, since we have 12 months in 1 year. So in 1 year, there will be 4 frequency conversions. So that 2% will be divided into 4. Okay? That's every 3 months. We also have compounded monthly. So 12 months, the 2% will be divided into 2. And we also have what we call the banker's rule, 2% compounded daily. Your 2% will be divided into 365 days. Okay. Now, in computing for the simple and compound interest here, in our discussion, we are assuming that there's no withdrawal happens during the duration of the investment unless it is specified. Kasi pag merong withdrawal na nangyayari, then mag-iiba ngayon yung ating problem o yung ating sagot. So walang withdrawal na nangyari dito sa ating problem na ibinibigay, and that 20% tax ay hindi pa siya tinatanggal. Remember, every investment that we made in the bank, every time that we deposited money and that money generated interest, 20% of that interest will go to the government as our tax. So let's try to compute this one. Find the compound interest earned in the compound amount due at the end of 5 years if 10,000 pesos is invested at 12% compounded quarterly. Okay, so we have the principal amount here as 10,000. We have the rate as 12%, which is equivalent to 0.12 when converted to decimal. And then the compounding period, we have quarterly. When you say quarterly, that is every 3 months. And then the time there is 5 years. So we have now, the future value is P multiplied by 1 plus R multiplied by T. Since ito ay compounded quarterly, this will give us 10,000, 1 plus the rate as 0.12. And since the compounding period is quarterly, you have to divide this one, the 12%, by quarter, ilang beses, every 3 months, so 4. And then the time there is 5, you multiply also it by 4. Okay, hindi tayo nagmo-multiply, hindi tayo nag-divide kapag ang problem is annually. Semi-annually, divide mo siya ng 2, multiply ng 2 ang time. Quarterly, you divide by 4 ang ating rate, multiplied by 4 yung ating time. Monthly, you divide the rate by 12, multiply the time by also 12. Daily, you divide the rate by 365, and then you multiply the time by 365. Can you give me the final value after 5 years? Dito talaga imposible na tayong hindi makapag-solve. Ay imposible tayong makapag-solve na hindi scientific yung calculator natin. What's the final value? Christina, it's 18,061.11. That is correct. So it's 18,061.11. That is the future value. So let's try to find now, kasi dalawa ang tinatanong niya, find the compound interest earned and the compound amount. This is the compound amount. So the compound interest, we know that interest is equal to the future value minus the principal amount. The future value there is 18,061.11. Tensya na kayo, may mga ibon ha. Principal amount is 10,000. So the interest earned is 8,061.11. So hence, or therefore, the compound amount after 5 years will be 18,061.11, and the interest is 8,061 pesos and 11 centavos. Question so far? No question? Let's proceed to number 2. Ah, meron pa. Sir, saan po ulit nakuha yung 4? Yung 4 ay nakuha dito sa salitang quarterly. Kasi yung quarterly, ibig sabihin every 3 months siya. So sa loob ng isang taon, 4 na beses ngayon tutubo yung investment mo. Kung ang tanong ay compounded quarterly, hindi yan siya 4, kundi divided by 2 at saka times 2 lang. Doon nakuha yung over 4. Kung anong dinivide mo dito, yun din ang multiply mo dito. Kung anong dinivide sa rate, yan din ang i-multiply natin sa time. Clear? Okay. Now, let's try to find out um, what would be a better investment? An investment of wherein the rate will be 7% annually, 7% compounded semi-annually, 7% compounded quarterly, or 7% compounded monthly. Okay? So let's accumulate 36,000 for 10 years at 7% compounded. Let's try first compounded annually. So dahil annual lang yan, in 1 year, your investment or your loan will only generate interest once a year. So we have now the future value. Do I need to write down the given? Siguro wala na, ano? Kasi clear naman na ito ay principal amount, ito yung time, ito ngayon yung rate. So we have now P, 1 plus R multiplied by T. So the principal amount there is 36,000. The rate is 0.07. If you want to divide it by 1, it's okay. It will not affect the answer. And the time there is 10 years. What's the answer? Can you give me the computation? How much is your money after 10 years? $70,817. May point pa yata yan siya Chini, sino to si Miguela? 0.45, yeah, that's correct. It's 70,817.45. You have to express your answer into two decimal places. Okay, that's sub number two. Um, Future value is P 1 plus R multiplied by T. So we have there 36,000. 1 plus the rate is 0.7. But since the investment is made compounded semi-annually, the rate will be divided into 2, and the time, which is 10, will be multiplied by 2. So what is now the amount of the investment after 10 years if that is compounded semi-annually? 71,632.40. That is correct. 0.40. Now let's try an investment, the same amount, the same rate, but this time it is compounded quarterly. So we have now um, 36,000, 1 plus 0.07 quarterly, meaning to say in 1 year, your investment generated interest 4 times. So divide this one by 4, kasi every 3 months kasi yan eh. And then the 10 years will be multiplied by 4. What is now the investment? What's the amount of the investment after 10 years if it was invested at compounded quarterly? 72,057 pesos and ano ba sagot? 50 centavos. Yeah, that's correct. 72,057 pesos and 50 centavos. The last one will be compounded monthly. So F is P1 plus R. So we have there the 36,000, 1 plus 0.07. You divide this one by, ay, monthly pala to. Kala ko daily. 12, and then 10, multiply this one by 12. 72,347.81. That's correct. 347.81. Okay? Now, I want you to observe the final answer. What conclusion can you draw out of the given final value? What generalization can you conclude or can you make now? You can unmute yourself. You can use the chat box if you want. Ano ang masasabi niyo ngayon doon sa ating, ano napansin, in other words? The gap is small. Aside from that, when you are making an investment, which one is a better investment? Kapag nag-invest ka, of course, you want na malaki yung interest na makuha mo. Mas mataas po pag monthly. If that is an investment, of course, we are going to go with compounded monthly. But if that is a loan, of course, we are going to go with compounded annually. Because the ruling in compound interest, the basic rule kasi ng compound interest is that the higher the number of compounding periods, the greater the amount of compound interest. For 2A, ang kanyang compounding period ay 10. For 2B, ang kanyang compounding period is 20. For letter C, the compounding period is 40, while in letter D, the compounding period is 120. The greater the compounding period is, the greater the amount of the compound interest. So for example, for every 1,000 pesos of a loan over a certain period, the amount of interest incurred at 10% annually, kunyari meron kang 10,000 na loan ha, tapos 10% annual yung kanyang interest. Yung 10% annual interest, mas mababa yan kaysa doon sa 5% semi-annually. At yung 5% semi-annually ay mas mababa din yan kaysa doon sa 2.5% quarterly. So huwag tayong magpaloko na akala natin parehas na ang sagot doon. Yung 10% hinati mo, ginawa mong 5%. Yung 1 year hinati mo, ginawa mong 6 months. Mas konti yung interest noong 10% annually kaysa sa interest ngayon ng 5% semi-annually. The same way, mas konti yung interest ng 5% semi-annually kaysa pag hinati mo ang 5%, gawin mo siyang 2.5%, tapos every 3 months ngayon yung investment. Kasi mas malaki ang compounding period, mas malaki ang kanyang interest. Okay? Now, I want you to try this one. We'll give you 4 minutes. The day Jade was born, her mother Aurora invested 100,000 in a fund that pays 11.25% interest compounded. Take note of this, semi-annually. What is the value of the fund on Jade's 16th birthday? Go.
Sir,
Sino to? Si Justine? Ikaw ba yan?
sir.
Gigising mo lang ah.
Kaya nga po, sir eh.
Anong time natin dyan?
16.
16, that's correct. Yeah, 16. Ano, sagot na pala. Parang late ko nabasa to. Daniela Salazar answered 576,149 and 39 centavos. Same with Miguela. Christina is 549, 594. Okay, what about the others? Sige, antay natin. Meron pa namang 1 minute. 576 from Gemini. By the way, meron yata kayong webinar mamaya, naaatinan. Kaya ako hinold yung klase na mas maaga kasi hindi tayo pwedeng hindi magklase dahil in 1 month, matatapos na yung 4th grading. Alain nyo yan. Na itawid natin ng ganun-ganun lang. Okay. So we have now, the future value here is P1 plus R multiplied by T. So this will be 100,000. The rate is 0.1125, but since that's semi-annually, you have to divide this one by 2. That time is 16 years, and you have to multiply this one by 2. So the investment after 16 years is that 576,149.39 centavos. 39 by 40. Okay lang naman kung ang Ang difference lang ay centavos. So, hence, the investment on Jade's 16th birthday will be 576,149.39. Again, ay, hinati ko city ko sa anim. There's no withdrawal happen during the duration of the investment, during the 16 years duration of the investment. Question so far? No question. Okay, let's try number 4. You have to do some computation here twice. Alejandro owes Paula 250,000 due today. But Alejandro is offering to pay the principal plus the accumulated simple interest. So you use the simple interest formula at the rate of 8% at the end of 2 years. But Paula insisted that she will be charging Alejandro 8% compounded semi-annually. Magkano pa dapat ang matanggap ni Paula compared kay Alejandro's offer? So, so isa dyan, magsisimple interest ka, yung offer ni Alejandro. Isa dyan, magko-compound interest ka, yung offer naman ni Paula.
Sir,
Ngayon,
kape tayo, sir.
grapes mo. I think, Daniela, yung sinagot mo, it's the offer of Paula. What about the offer of Alejandro? Chini, yung kinompute mong 40,000, that's only the interest of Alejandro's offer. Kunin mo yung future value ng offer ni Alejandro. I-add mo pa yung ano yung principal amount, yung 250,000. Tapos tsaka mo siya ipag-minus. Yun yung sagot doon. Sakto ba, Miguela? Wala talagang centavos? $0.54. Okay, let's do some computation dalawang beses. Unahin natin yung kay Alejandro's offer. Simple interest ang gusto niya. So interest is principal times rate times time. The principal amount is 250,000. Ang rate ay the same, 8%. Ang time ay 2 years. So at the end of 2 years, Alejandro must offer an interest of 40,000. So ang final value niyan will be interest plus the principal amount. So 40,000 plus the original amount. So Alejandro must pay 290,000. That's the offer of Alejandro. While Paula is offering um, is compounded semi-annually. So we have the final value 1 plus r raised to the power of t. So this will be 250,000. The rate is 8%, compounded semi-annually. So you have to divide this one by 2. So 2 years, you have to multiply that by 2. Tama? So this is equal to, ano sagot? 1 plus 0.08 over 2 multiplied by 4. 294,000. Yeah, that's correct, Trini. 464. So, i-minus mo yan. So, Paula's offer minus Alejandro's offer. 292,464.64 minus 290,000. That will be 2,464.64. So Paula still needs to receive 2,464 pesos and 64 centavos from Alejandro. Okay? Do you understand the computation? Let's have the last problem. Number 5. Irene deposited 100,000 pesos in the bank for 7 years. That gives 12% interest compounded quarterly during the first 3 years of the investment. However, the bank increased its interest rate to 14% compounded quarterly for the remaining year. How much would she have after 7 years? Dalawang beses ka dyan magko-compound interest. Gusto ko malaman paano nyo ginawa. Miguela, paano mo sinolve?
Sir,
Sige.
ginamit ko po yung formula na F is equal to P times 1 plus R times the time. Tapos
Okay.
po, di, di ba sa unang sabi, in the first 3 years daw, may 12% na interest. So, 100,000 times 1 plus 12% over 4 times 4. 142,576.10.
Correct.
Tapos, yung sa susunod po, ang sabi, nagtaas daw yung interest rate ng 14%. So, pinalitan ko po ng 14% yung 12%. Tapos, sabi, for the remaining year. So, 4 na taon na lang po yung natira. Kaya, 100,000 times 1 plus 14% over 4 times 4 times 4.
Ah,
173,398.6.
nakuha ko na yung ano. Remember, yung compound interest is the interest of the interest. So tama yung ginawa nyo that during the first 3 years, the computation will be ano ngayon, 100,000, 1 plus 12% over 3, and then we have there 3, ay bakit 3? Compounded ano ba to? Quarterly pala ito. 3 times 4. Kaya it will give us 142,576.09. However, during the last 4 years, your new principal amount will be the accumulated interest, including the principal amount during the first 4 years. Ito na ang kukuhaan ngayon ng panibagong interest ng bangko, itong 142,576.09. Hindi na yung original. Okay? Kapag ang sinabi sa problem, it's simple interest, tama yun, na yung 100,000 lang lagi yung ating principal amount. So ito ay 1 plus 0.14 compounded, so 4. So maging 4 years times 4 na to. Kaya ang ibibigay sa atin ng bangko ay 247,224.95 centavos. Okay? Yung first 3 years at saka yung plus 4 years. Kasi compounded quarterly. Kapag simple interest quarterly, tama yung 315,974.6. In other words, if the investment is made short term, the best way to invest is in a simple interest scheme. But when the investment is a long-term investment, meaning to say more than 5 years, you go with compound interest. The same thing that will happen if you are applying for a loan. Simple interest is better. Compound interest, baliktad kasi magbabayad ka. Compound interest is better when you are aiming for a loan which is less than 5 years. Maganda ang compound interest kaysa doon sa simple interest which is beyond 5 years na siyang babayaran. Now, the rationale behind teaching you this, despite the fact that when you are going to apply for a loan or for you are going to make an investment in a bank, even if the bank gives you a computerized generated interest, is that you have the bird's eye view of how much will be your interest at the end of the duration ng program. I mean, duration ng year kung saan ka nag-invest. Kahit na hindi ka naman magko-compute pagdating doon sa bangko kasi naka-generate na lahat 'yan, computerized na lahat 'yan, at least hindi ka agad-agad maloloko. Okay? Now, this will be your activity number 2, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. The last slide will be your performance task. Due date is June 18, 2021. Kaya yan nag-due date ng June 18, 2021 because someone um, will take over my place after June 18 because I'll be filing my leave after June 18. Kaya kailangan makapagpasa kayo bago mag June 18. The problem will be, suppose you wanted to save money for a down payment in your dream house and your target is to save 2 million so that you will not be burdened by a large monthly mortgage after you purchase your dream house. Because you are a risk-averse investor, you are not considering investing in stocks and just choose one from the two scenario below. Big sabihin, saan ka mas mabilis makakaipon ng 2 milyon para mabili mo yung dream house mo? Yung scenario 1 ba? Kung saan magde-deposit ka monthly at the end of every month of 6,000 into a savings account that earns 3.5% compounded monthly. O yung scenario 2 na kung saan na-figure out mo na yung salary mo nag increase ng 500 pesos. Kaya ang simula mo, nag-start ka ng 5,000 every month, tapos nagdadagdag ka ngayon ng 500 the following month at 3.5% per month naman siya. Parang hindi patas. Gawin natin siya compounded, hindi siya per month. Interest semi-annually. Kasi alam na natin agad ang sagot. Ayan, patas na yan. Kasi isa ay monthly, isa ay semi-annually. Assume natin na walang withdrawal na mangyayari, saan ka mas makakaipon, mabilis makakaipon ngayon ng 2 milyon. Scenario 1 or scenario 2. Okay? Question? You can do it sa Excel. I-drag mo lang yan. Kaya i-compute na Excel yan kung anong taon ka, ilang taon ka ngayon makakaipon ng 2 milyon mula dyan sa pa 5,000, 5,000 mo or pa 6,000, 6,000 mo na savings every month. Question? I'll send it later. Ha? You know, question? I'll just get the attendance. Saan ba? Nagbago ang ano ng Google Meet. Kung saan pupunta.